161st Street, Yankee Stadium.
Swung high, hit in the air, to deep center, gets back, away back, she is gone. He made the play!
All right, welcome back to the Boys 161st Street, episode 210. Today is June 24th, 2022, and Judge hits another walk-off for the Yankees against the Houston Astros this time. This team just is good. How are we doing, fellas? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Good morning.
Game of the year last night. That was lovely.
You think so?
100%. I said it, I think, after the game that it was probably a top 5 game I've ever seen in the regular season. As a Yankees fan, at least. So I would say definitely all time.
There just
I mean,
there weren't like
some
high.
others.
Yeah, I say there just weren't like high stakes, but it was still very, very cool. As
Yeah,
far
regular
as
season.
pure entertainment goes,
Well, the stakes are pretty high,
the
though.
stakes are high. I mean, it's
how they have a 12-game lead. And
Well, no, but I mean,
Let me
14 game win streak at home that you're defending against the Astros, who I still don't like the Astros. I don't know about you guys. I think
Not
I
a
hate
fan.
the Astros more than the Red Sox right now. Maybe that'll go away in a couple years, but as of right now, they're the team I hate the most in Major League Baseball. So that's good enough for me.
And at the same time, too, like the Yankees have been constantly, they're obviously winning a ton of games at 52 wins now or 51, whatever it is. They've been told they haven't won against good opponents for the whole season at this point. So, I mean, the Astros are one of the top teams in the power rankings and then one of the top teams in the AL. One of the teams we're probably going to have to go through, or they're going to have to go through us, in the race to the World Series. So, at least winning this game I think it's a good measuring stick for teams, especially outside of the AL East, because we've only played the only good teams I feel like we've played off the top of my head are in the AL East. Is that fair? I mean,
that's
fair.
fair.
I mean, the White Sox we've played, but the White Sox were hurt, and I would say this is the toughest team we've faced, and it's nice to see us doing that against them, and not just like we've walked off how many games this season? This is
9.
This is 9 so far.
8 or 9, yeah.
And this is against a good team, so that's just nice to see. And they did their usual thing, like what you expect the Astros to do. I mean, Yordan Alvarez hits a home run, Alex Bregman hits a home run, both 3-run shots.
Also, Stanton and Hicks both 3-run shots. Kind of crazy that the first 12 runs of the game all came via the 3-run home run.
I think it might be time to have a very much needed Hicks conversation. But
I brought it up last episode, and I know we talked about, and obviously for those who don't,
you don't get off the sun
Hicks is
for
on the
a
sun.
single.
No,
You
I
wanted
know.
to take him off because he beat the shift for the single. You don't get off the sun for that.
No,
Or,
I
like,
wanted to
hitting
take him off
301
because
for 2 weeks.
I want to take him off because he had been hitting well all of June, which that's still true to this day. But we were all saying that in order to get off the sun, you need to have a specific.
What?
Can you hear
What?
me?
Yeah, you just like stop talking.
You just
Sorry.
stop
You're in
the
the middle of a
sentence.
sentence. and then
I
just
froze. In order to get off the sun, you need to have a big moment, and that was a pretty big moment. Yet last week, or last night, last week, he had a moment where he could have come up in a big spot where he didn't get out. So that was that's definitely not the
this
moment.
is what
where
we've been
you-
waiting for him to do for literally like the entire year. Is come up and like just get a hit or do something with runners in scoring position. And this I feel like was the only time he's done it all year, in a big spot. And that mixed in with, a couple of good games that he's been having just in general with, getting on base, like, getting some dinky singles or whatever. Maybe it's not dinky singles, but just kind of, doing a lot better than what he was doing before. He had that clutch triple the other game that should have, that he pimped a triple, but he's been doing a lot more in the big moments, which is what we've been asking him to do for a while. And it's very, very, very nice to see. And I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah, and I mean, like we said, if he's a guy, we talked about X factors last episode. If he's a guy who's doing that for us in big moments, And I mean, I saw the video last night. That was his. They put the side by side of his home run off the foul pole and the home run last night, and it looked pretty similar. I guess that's
It
just his
looked
swing.
exactly the same.
Yeah, that's just his swing, and he pimps it, and
I say what you want about the guy, but he can pimp a home run.
he can
really can.
pimp a fucking home
He
run.
And a
can
triple.
pimp anything, really.
That's
He can pimp a walk.
dude loves pimping walks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do we have the Sun conversation now, or do we?
Yeah, I
think you
I'm
have
ready to.
to.
I'm ready to send my vote. You guys know how I feel. I think it's time. So I'm gonna say yes. I think he
think-
comes off the Sun today.
I think he deserves it. I think he deserves it.
As the Sun purist, I will say he deserves it, so we can take him off. But
I
There's
knew there was
still
a but in there.
another member of
Oh,
this panel here.
I thought you had already cast your vote, but I will say if he does come off, we cannot be that quick to put him back on because like you can't just come off and on willy nilly. So keep that in mind.
I know that's kind of what I was gonna say. Excuse me. I would definitely vote for him to come off. Just I don't know how you don't after that, but it would not shock me one bit if he finds himself back there by the end of this year.
So he's off.
I mean, it's just against the Astros and the Twins. The dude just turns into fucking Hank Aaron. But
Yep.
I don't know why he can't do it in a big spot against the Orioles. But for some reason, when he plays those two teams, he's very good. I don't trust it. But I'm gonna vote yes to take him off. But I still don't trust it.
So you don't think there's any way that that's like a coming over the hill moment where he's, I mean, not
No,
back
absolutely
in the
not.
traditional sense.
I
but,
don't
like,
either. No.
No,
I don't think he's gonna. So you think he's gonna just go right back to being absolutely terrible?
Yeah.
But we're taking him off the Sun.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a part of it. The intrinsic value of him potentially doing bad
No.
later is not a reason to not take him off the Sun.
Well, it kind
Will
of
he go
is.
back? No.
When
No,
you're taking
the
him
Sun
off
is
the
not
Sun.
A sun is not a future predictor.
No, it's not. But it's also like I'm at least pulling him off out of respect for what he did last night and coherence
That's
with
what it
how
is.
he's been okay. Yeah. So like for that kind of thing, our expectations for the Sun are now have to be lower because he came off the
No,
Sun.
I don't think so. I mean, I think he did a lot. He did a lot to get off the Sun. I mean, a couple big moments, but he also did a lot to get on the Sun. So let's not forget about that. So I think it's rightfully so that he's being taken off, but I think he damn well deserved it in the beginning. But to Chandler's point, I do think that he can go on a stretch just like he did in the beginning of the season and suck for the next 2 months, and we have this conversation again. So I think there should be a buffer of like X amount of months before you can be put on the Sun again, or X amount of episodes before you can be put on the Sun again. So we'll eyeball it, but
I think it's just a field test.
Yeah,
I agree.
but I think it will happen. I agree with Chandler. I'm not sold on this spike of being good. I think
mean,
yeah.
Think about it this way: if the game's on the line tomorrow, same situation, Hicks is probably like 9 or 10 on people that you want up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
that home
change.
run. That home run was the like you played the simulation game. That was the 1 out of 100 that outcome is Hicks hitting a home run in that spot, and I'm very happy that it did happen. And because it happened, what are you shaking your head for, Murph?
No, it was crazy. I
Yeah,
agree
no,
with
that's
you.
the
I'm
that's the
shaking
one
my head in
time.
agreement.
Yeah, that's just not when you're not saying things, it seems like you don't agree. But yeah, no, that's the one time out of 100 that he does that, and because he did that, welcome off the Sun. But we are not going to sit here and act like we don't. We're men of numbers, and if you regress back to the mean or the law of averages, he's going to be bad.
I
hope
still
not.
can't believe he hit that home run though. I still cannot believe it. I thought there was no chance in hell that he was going to do anything productive at all.
I mean, dude, that's the difference between this team, man. I mean,
It's true.
I think we've said this every episode, but it needs to be said. This team's different, and you take us back to last year and put us in the same situation. We're not winning that baseball game. We're not. We're giving
We're not
in.
even getting in a chance to win it. There's not people on base for that to happen last year.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing in that situation too. I think last year we would punt to that spot. We're down 3. I think in that spot they would totally be. That would be a Litke moment where it's like, oh, we're 3 away. That's totally a spot where Boone would punt it away. I think that's something that's changed this year. Is obviously the depth in the bullpen, and the just overall grit of the fellas. Just no leads safe, and that's another example of it. We talked about it last episode, and it was just like, they have the most safe lead on our side, but the least safe lead against, because they've had so many comeback wins, and it's nuts. But I do think last year that would be a spot where that was something we got angry about all the time, is that they were punting games that were seemingly winnable or not out of reach, and that is the difference this year. Speaking of people that absolutely suck, professional segue, and to a guy that spent some time on the Sun previously and is no longer on the Yankees. Did you guys see that? I know we shouldn't bring up former Yankees, but I don't care. Clint Frazier, or excuse me, he wants to be called Jackson Frazier now. Is that correct, or did I get porched again?
No, that's 100% correct. That's like a excuse me. That is one of the probably something he's going to bitch about, how the Yankees wouldn't let him be his true identity. They forced him to be Clint, which is arguably the worst name in the world. Sorry if your name's Clint, but that's his newest reason of why he just is fucking terrible at baseball.
They forced him to
Jackson's
go by
a
his
300 hitter.
God-given name. And next thing you know, now it seems like he's going to throw shade at his parents now. Like, oh, you guys didn't let me be Jackson. You guys didn't name me Jackson, so you didn't let me. That's the reason I'm batting 220, is because you couldn't let me be called Jackson. So now maybe that'll change things. Also, is he up in the majors? I thought he was sent down.
No, he's still in the minor league, I think. He got DFA'd, and then he got picked up into the minor
Well, I'm
league
just saying,
system.
because the Alex Cohen tweet that I saw, this name change thing that went viral today, after a 2-hit game last night, had a nice chat with Clint Frazier, learned that he wants to go by his middle name, Jackson, moving forward. Apparently, family and friends refer to him as Jackson, and even his Cubs teammates in the big leagues called him that. Oh, called him that. It does sound like he had got a 2-hit night over in.
Yeah, you can get hits in the minor league, and they cover that.
Yeah. So do you think he changed his bio from, because he always had Scranton Rail Riders in there, whatever the affiliate of the Cubs, AA or triple A is? That's something of note. Go check out his bio. I hope it still says Scranton Rail Riders.
It does still say that. And his name is still Clint Frazier, so he's bluffing.
I don't know, man. He's still gonna suck. Speaking of people that got optioned, Clark Schmidt got optioned.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a bad opinion, Damon. I know that you're going to say you're not bothered by it, and that's a bad opinion.
I'm not bothered by it, but I understand it.
I don't. You're going to tell me that Albert Abreu or fucking Ron Marinaccio or Lucas Licky are all better options out of the bullpen than Clark Schmidt.
That's not even remotely close to what I was saying or the reasoning.
I'm just saying Yankees fans should not be happy about this.
I'm just saying it makes sense considering the fact that he threw 2 long innings back to back. There was no shot he was going to throw for at least 2 days, and they needed some extra arms in the bullpen for a series coming up against the Astros. So I get the fact that they want to bring up Abreu for the series and have an extra arm just for the series. It's important.
There's
it's
15
important games.
That's a minimum. You have to be down in the minors for a minimum of 15 games.
I'm aware of that, but I think that I'm not 100% agreeing with it, but I understand the reasoning behind it, and I can get behind it a little bit considering the fact that we're facing the Astros and it's a big game, it's a big series, and he's not really going to be able to throw during the couple games coming up against them. So I get it.
No. I mean, this is
What do
just
you
an
mean, no?
options move. He has
Move
options
this
to move
guy
to send
off
him
the
down.
stage.
I see where you're coming from.
I'm
Damon, a
not
little bit,
I'm not saying I agree with it or that I think it's the right move. I'm just saying I understand it.
Where the hell did Albert Abreu come back from? He was gone. He
The
wasn't.
Royals, apparently.
When? though.
Really?
Like
Like
he
2 days
just
ago.
came up, and I was like, he's not even on the Yankees. Why is he
No,
up?
2 days ago we like recalled him back, which is funny because that was the guy we traded for Jose Trevino. So it's like we got the guy back that we traded him for.
They do love doing that, but like,
Yeah, they did that with
I just
Chapman,
like I was
Chapman
so
Gleyber trade.
confused when I saw that. I thought it was a different Abreu for a second. I was like, who, why, how? But
No, that just happened. He just came
I mean, he
back.
looked pretty good last night, I guess.
I don't think he should be up. I agree with Chad. He should not be up over Clark Schmidt. That's obvious. I don't know. I just wanted to mention it. I hope it's just a minimum 15 days. I think isn't that the case, Chandler? You're the options guy. You're the resident options guy.
Yeah,
on this
yeah. I'm
podcast.
pretty sure it's 15 days that he has to be in the minors before he can get called back up.
So hopefully that's the case. What else do you want to talk about?
I was going back to the big game that the big game. The big game. I before the game was out. Oh God, sorry, it's the morning, everybody. Before the game happened, I was having a conversation. I was like, I really think that Stanton needs to have a big game today, and he did. I mean, going into that game, I think he was hitting like, I think we was hitting like 100 in the last. We have a stat up somewhere. He was not doing very well. I mean, he was hitting like 108 in the last 10 games or something like that, and he really needed to get back. Yeah, he was hitting 103 in his last 19 games. That was before last night, which is not good at all. And I think he really needed that to get back into a groove. And obviously, Stan is a huge part of this team right now. So I thought it was a very big moment for him to get that 3-run home run for the team.
Yeah, and I think everybody who watches this team, I think this is the start of a Stanton hot streak, and I hope that's the case. And I mean, if he starts buzzing with Judge buzzing, we've always talked about like they can never be hot at the same time. That happened this year. Let's hope it happens again. Judge hasn't not been hot this year. He's just been hot the entire time. So hopefully Stanton can turn that on. If Stanton can turn it on, and by the graces of God, Hicks can figure out to keep away, figure out a way to keep this going, then I think this team is ridiculous. And that's you don't need me to tell you that, but I don't know. I think this is probably a time for a Stanton hot streak. One thing that I did also want to talk about, I don't know if it's relevant to that. I'm moving on from that. If you want to say anything else about Stanton, I think it's just he's gonna.
No, I think he was due for that. He needed that, and yeah, I agree. It's the start of a Stanton hot streak that we need.
So
Mike,
I wanted.
Sorry, Michael said it on the broadcast last night. He said now that happened, he always hits them in bunches. Like,
yeah,
it'll happen.
He's like the good version of what Higgy does. Higgy hits home runs when in bunches. Stanton does it, but like he's actually good, so it makes sense why he does that. He's just a streaky player.
Yeah. Well, Higgy does it in games. Stan does it over like a stretch of games.
Higgy started doing it in games this season, but it's always like if you hit a home run, just rule of thumb, if Higgy hits a home run in the first inning, you live bet him to hit 2 more of that game.
Yeah,
and you just become who wants to become a millionaire? Me.
Stanton will have one in the next 2 games. Like he'll have another one in this series. I bet you.
Oh no, you bet your ass I'm betting that he's going to. And speaking of which, this episode is presented by Chalkboard. If you want to talk about my picks, my gambling picks, I'll be talking about them in there. It's the best Yankees group chat you're ever gonna find. It's a bet syncing app, so we talk about our bets in there, but also it's the biggest Yankees group chat on the face of this earth. So go to link in the bio, go to the link in podcast description to join our Yankees group chat, and it's a lot of fun in there.
Get almost 500 people in the group chat. It's buzzing.
It's a pretty wild time. So go to the link in our bio, link in the
You're
podcast.
missing out if you're not in there.
Everything's linked down there. Download the app, join the group, and say hey to Murph. He really wants to hear from you.
Yeah, he's missing you. Whoever's out there,
For those
Murph
in the audio only, he gave you a nice wink. One thing that I did want to talk about as well is the All-Star rankings or All-Star voting. I like this graphic. There's obviously a few people that are leading their positions. Aaron Judge, I think, is the only one from the Yankees that are currently slated to be the starters in the All-Star game. Obviously,
he's leading the entire league in voting, isn't he?
That's obvious. Yeah, as he should. But I know there's alternates and stuff too, like that Yerk Labor didn't have an unbelievable year and he ended up making the All-Star team because he got swapped out because people get hurt, whatever. But I wanted to go through the list of people in the starting lineup currently where they rank among their position in terms of votes currently. Jose Trevino right now is second at his position to Alejandro Kirk. We can go into that in more detail. I think that's the closest one. I think Kirk is having a very good year, but I don't know. At the same time, he has an entire country voting for him, so who knows? Anthony Rizzo is third at his
Yeah, but
position.
it's Canada.
Yeah. I honestly, on that note, I think the Yankees fan base has more people, like more firepower. So I can't use that argument because I think we have more potential voters across the country in different countries because we're the Yankees than just they do because they're a different country.
Kirk
Yeah,
also
they
deserves
don't care
to be
about
an
hockey
all-star.
anyway.
Kirk's also has better stats, so I'll give
Stats
Kirk the
aside,
nod there.
I still think Trevino could start over him because he's had some of the like non-cumulative sabermetrics. Like, he's got the walk-offs. He's also a very good catcher, like the framing and everything, which doesn't really play into the all-star voting, I guess. But like, even if Trevino wasn't having the season he is, like he's having a great year. And I did not realize that he's only 23. That's pretty.
Yeah, I didn't either.
He's 23.
Yeah,
And he
they-
is
I
on
thought
my
he was like
fantasy team.
I legitimately thought he was like 46.
No, they have an
I don't know
embarrassment
what I
of
thought.
riches at the catcher position. They just called that kid up. I don't
Moreno?
remember Moreno, and he's like their prize prospect, and he's a catcher also. So it's crazy.
Plus, can't forget Danny Jansen.
Cannot forget Danny Jansen. But rounding out this list, Gleyber Torres is at fourth for second base. Connor Falefa is at fifth for shortstop. Don't know how that's possible.
Yankees fans are loyal.
Yeah, that's that. I want to get into that in a second too because this system is broken.
So broken.
DJ LeMahieu
terrible.
is in fourth for third base. Judge is in first for outfield. Outfield is just outfield, not left field, right field, center field. Giancarlo Stanton is fourth for outfield. Gallo is 15th in outfield, and Donaldson is sixth for DH. Anything there that stands out to you before I get
Yes.
into it? Okay. Go
What a
ahead.
wild world we live in that Giancarlo Stanton is fourth in outfield and Josh Donaldson's the one getting DH votes. Who would have ever, if I told you in 2021, if I told you at this point last year that next year Josh Donaldson, future Yankee, is going to be receiving votes to start the All-Star game at DH and Giancarlo Stanton is one of the outfield votes, you would laugh in my face.
Who has played more games in the DH spot? Him or
Definitely
Stanton, he has.
Probably.
I don't. It would
Oh,
not
you're
shock.
saying this year or career? Sorry.
Yeah, this year because he's getting
Oh,
votes as a DH
probably
over
Donaldson
Stanton. Stanton's
this year.
getting the outfield. Stanton's played a bunch of games in the outfield. I'm not sure what the
Yeah,
total
yeah,
is.
no. This year it's probably Donaldson.
You think so?
I mean, DJ's playing Gold Glove third base right now.
Yeah.
He actually might win a Gold Glove at third.
I hope he does.
That would
We've
be
had,
wild.
a lot of people come up short there. So I mean, Gio for a number of years, and the guy who did win Gold Glove third base is playing shortstop for us, and is not playing very good defense there. So he can't count. on him
Third
to
base
get
is
that.
probably the deepest position fielding wise, though.
I think they just give it to Matt
baseball.
Chapman just to give it to him all the time.
Well, because he's a platinum glove
is
fielder.
that
Well,
good.
I know he is, but like when he gets to that point of just winning it all the time, we're just like, oh yeah, he deserves it again.
You
so
just
give it to
assume
him.
that his
Yeah, you
numbers
just
are
assume-
fine.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but that
it's-
matters. They're still going to give it to him because when you go, not that Matt Chapman's making the Hall of Fame, but like that's all people talk about when you get to the Hall of Fame. It's like, oh, he won an MVP, 10 Silver Sluggers, 3 Gold Gloves. Like they'll give it to people over and over again. Is my point
Yeah.
for that award, not so much for the MVP.
Well, I mean,
The MVP is separate. Like, we were talking about the polls that we saw recently of the MVP voting and the blind stats, and that one with Mike Trout was against Miguel Cabrera that year in 2012, I think it was. I feel like Mike Trout has won it so often. He's in that territory of like they're gonna stray away from him almost because it's boring and you don't want to give it to him every single year. I think the same thing is the case with like LeBron at times. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
as big of a basketball guy, but I know that he's very good. And when you're very good, they almost don't want to go with the obvious pick and pick somebody else who almost deserves it but doesn't deserve it as much. Like when push comes to shove, all else equal, they'll pick somebody that's new over the guy who has been dominant because it's like hey man, let him have a turn. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
Yeah.
this kind of relates just to like the All-Star system, the All-Star voting system just being broken. Like we were talking about it before, and we're gonna bring it up. Like Xander Bogaerts, I know he's on the Red Sox, but the dude's having a hell of a year. And you take a look at the
and
voting.
he always does too.
I know, and he's an incredible player. And
Yeah.
Bo Bichette has more All-Star votes than him, and Bo Bichette is having an okay year. Like, how does that happen?
As a Bo
Tatis has,
Bichette
like,
fantasy
100%.
owner, like he's not having a special year. He's starting to heat up now, but he's certainly not the all-star. And Xander Bogaerts definitely deserves to be there. And Murph, like you were saying, Tatis has 165,000 votes, and he hasn't played a single game. That's
Like,
fucked up. He has
that
more
tells
votes.
you right
He
there.
has more votes than Corey Seager. He has more votes than J.P. Crawford. Like guys who are they're playing games regardless of the seasons they're having. They're playing games, and they have less votes than he does. So, 'cause it's
I
fan-
don't know if
So-
it's true, but he probably has the most votes on the Padres. Oh no, but maybe Machado probably has more than 165. But like,
How do you fix it?
I would hope so.
Dude, the MLB should give you like a menu of players you can vote from.
A menu. I think
Yeah.
it should be a player vote. The players should be the ones that
That
look
also
at it.
makes sense.
Like,
Or the players should have a weighted vote. Like their vote counts for, I don't know, 1,000.
So
votes
fans
or something
and the
like that.
players vote, but fans vote counts as 1, and the players vote counts as 3.
Or more, I would say, because
Boom.
what's the ratio to fans to players, and then
Stop
weighted
while you're
that
ahead.
way.
Stop while you're ahead. I think you had it with the weights. Just
Well, I
give
don't
3,
think 3 was the answer, but I think it should be a lot more than 3. But I think
10.
it needs to be a ratio. How do you do the
I
math?
think it should just be. I think it should just be. Excuse me. Fan. God damn it, Murph. I think it should just be coaches and players that vote. Like,
But I do think the feds should have a say because it's fun. I guess them
they
involved.
should get to pick
but
the alternates. Like
Yeah.
it should be. They have it backwards. Like the coaches pick the alternates right now. It should be the other way around.
I mean,
That's
fans
true
pick
too.
the
And they
alternates.
should just tell us that it's a fan vote, and then behind the scenes, this is the one thing I'd be fine with people lying
Yeah.
to us. Like,
make up a
just
number.
just tell us that we're doing. It's like your little brother that you play video games with. His controller's unplugged, but you're and you're controlling it. He thinks he's playing, and he's having a great time doing it, and he's blissfully ignorant. But in reality, you're controlling it, and that's what I hope the All-Star voting is in the future. And another thing too that I want to remove from that is I don't want there to be at least one representative from each team. If your team blows,
Yeah, I hate that too.
you do not. If you are on the Pittsburgh Pirates,
If
you don't
if you're on the
deserve to just
Oakland
make it.
A's,
The
who are
Kansas City
actively
Royals are,
trying to lose,
and the Kansas City Royals are.
But Frankie
I think,
Montas is
the
an
actual
all-star.
worst team this year.
That's
Okay,
true.
but that's
you get
fine.
the, but
If he's actually an all-star, he's an
It's
all-star.
the point. I'm just making a point. I guess
No,
you
I
can
get
go
it, but
through and pick it.
we're
I know
saying that
Frankie,
as Yankees fans because our guy that's good deserves an all-star is going to be an all-star either way. That
Well,
they
but
have
there's
that in
some-
play because of the fan vote. If the
there's
fan vote
some
wasn't
people
there, then
that
would-
don't deserve to be all stars.
I agree.
Like I was just using that as a whole. I mean, yes, I know Frankie Montas should be an all star and should be a Yankee, but
Cubs.
what the Cubs? Yeah,
Cubs.
Ian Happ. But I mean, you could. But I don't know the Pirates.
If the shoe fits, yes, that's fine. But in years past, there has been people that have made the All-Star team just
David
because they're.
Bednar. Sorry.
David Bednar's good. You bite your fucking tongue.
No, I know.
That's
I
what
just
Murph
said
was saying.
he'd be an all-star.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then yes.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, there should not be an All-Star
Just
on
keep
the
naming
Royals.
teams.
The Royals, they're like Andrew
They're
Benintendi. He's having an
bad.
average. He's having a very average year. Like he should
They're
not be an
He's
All-Star.
having a
probably.
very much above average year.
But he shouldn't be an All-Star.
Benintendi, last I looked, he was sitting like 330.
Okay, off the top of my head, I don't fucking care.
Detroit.
The stance is there should not be one just because your team didn't just because you're a team.
No, I agree. I'm with
But
you.
that's there because of the fan vote, is what I'm saying. Because
Yeah,
guys from New York and Boston, that kind of thing, LA, bigger markets, the Frankie Montases of the world that the average baseball fan might not even know, on the East
Mhm.
Coast at least, isn't going to vote, and they're not going to get their votes. So,
I don't know about you guys, but I've never voted.
no,
I-
me neither. Not
I
I
have a
actually
couple
voted
times.
this year.
I didn't this year, but I have before.
it's a hassle. Like it is. It's. I'll tell you what. Like
Yeah, I'm not going to do it again.
After going through it. Like, here's the thing. Once I open the thing up, it's like I get very involved. I'm like,
Go vote right now.
As I go through each of them, I'm like, this is pretty close. I want to really give my real vote. Some other guys deserve it, and I sit there for a solid 10 minutes and I think really hard about it, and it kind of hurts a little bit. But then you have to don't you have to put your email in or something? It's something.
Oh, God.
It was such a easy thing to do, but in my brain I was like, oh, this is such a hassle. I
You have
can't
to
put my finger on
check.
it, but
It's the email. You got to check if you want, MLB newsletters, which I've signed up for probably 50 times now. Just every time you enter anything on the MLB app or website, you have to enter your email and opt out of the emails or opt into them or whatever. There's like 6 different buttons you have to click. And they always have fucking tiebreakers too. Like I know that at least for like the competitions they have. Those are annoying. I'm with you.
Yeah. I just think the whole system's broken. I think a lot needs to change. I don't think anything will change, but that's the MLB for you.
It's not a big enough deal to change. There's so many other issues.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think about the players. Like they're working their ass off. They want to be recognized. They want to be all-stars and deserve to be build their own brand up and play in an all-star game and have this experience because they've had a hell of a year and then kind of get cucked because some other guys have a bigger name or they're on a team that sucks and the team needs to give them credit because the Reds need to be included in things. And that kind of sucks.
Real quick, just to this is a little off topic, but it was something we were talking about earlier with the DJ LeMahieu versus Matt Chapman thing. Just for reference, Matt Chapman's widely regarded as just God as third base and the best thing to ever fucking happen. DJ LeMahieu's having a better year defensive. Yeah, a goddamn man, brother. No, he's having a better year defensively than Matt Chapman is.
Are you prepared to walk into this territory? Because we are a podcast that does not know defensive metrics, and I think
I'm just reading the defensive metrics as are better.
But even if you do know them, I almost like it better that it's a unknown to this podcast. But go ahead.
I mean, I don't need to dive into it too deep.
No, do it.
I'm just looking at defensive runs saved. DJ LeMahieu has the nod. Outs above average, he has the nod. That's all I was going to leave it at because I know there's going to be some dickhead that listens to it. It's like, well, that doesn't matter based on sample size, and you can't really use that for third base. You can only use it for shortstop, and that's not the best metric. I don't really care. I'm just looking at stuff, and that fits my narrative, and I like DJ LeMahieu a lot more than I like Matt Chapman. So I'm going to run.
So there is no stats to back it up.
There are stats to back it up. I told you he has the non-defensive run saved and outs above average. So.
All right, that's good enough for me. I'll just eyeball it.
Unrelated. I know this is. I'm not a defensive thing, but I just think the people that decide the Gold Glove, it should just be how many outs did you get? How many putouts? It should just be the points leader at the end of the year in basketball or something like that, or the hits leader in baseball.
Yeah.
It should just be whoever had the most putouts is
or
the defensive.
Or it should be how many highlights did you have, and then how many errors did you have?
No, here's what it is. I've solved it. It's putouts minus errors.
Yeah.
And the most positive differential there is the Gold Glover at that position.
Yeah.
Fair.
And then any diving plays gets a weighted number.
Damon's
what'd you say with the weights?
Any diving plays you make gives you extra points.
That's fair.
And can you give me a breakdown?
Similar to the vote, that counts as 5 versus
Can you give me the breakdown of the weights again, Damon, please?
Of what weights?
Yeah, we got
the All-Star.
Yeah, but translate that into defensive weights for diving plays and errors.
Yeah, it should be every.
Take us inside your brain for a second here. Just the hamster running on the wheel right now.
By that metric, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa would be the best shortstop ever, since apparently balls that hit him directly in the fucking chest are hits and not errors. So.
No, there needs to be an agreed upon. There needs to be a group of people that decide that this deserved a diving play.
You're gonna have to have a conclave.
Yeah, and they need to meet, and every diving play gets, there needs to be a ratio. Every diving play gets 10 extra points.
Can we actually
It's
talk
We're
about
just
that
solving baseball here
with
This is
Isaiah
I'm
Kinner?
fixing baseball by myself right now, and no one's listening. Actually,
Listen up,
a lot of people are
Manfred.
listening.
Yeah.
No one actually makes decisions.
You have a platform, Damon. Use it.
Finally.
Join
Uh,
chalkboard.
Well, what else can I fix? All right. What were you saying,
Can we-
Chandler?
So can we talk about Isaiah Kinner-Falefa? How this dude just doesn't get errors? Like he's
You-
got to be he's
you're out
got
to
to be
get him.
paying. No, I'm not. Like it's just like a pretty like widely talked about thing. Like it's not just me. He's like he's got to be paying off the bookkeepers or something. Like the dude is literally taking balls like off the wrist, off the chest, and they're just giving him base hits. There was not like another 2 of them over the weekend, like just routine ground balls that went under his glove or he just booted, and they're just giving him hits. It's wild. I've never seen anything like it. I'm not out to get him. Like
Well,
he's providing some value,
That
not
remains to be
much,
seen.
but like
you
he-
literally
hate him.
in our group chat, you're just like in the chalkboard group chat. You're always just like, if he makes
Join the
if
chalkboard
he does one minor thing wrong, you're just like he should die.
I mean,
No,
well,
I'm
he does
gonna,
one minor thing
I'm gonna
wrong.
pull up.
like,
I'm gonna pull up the
twice a
text
week.
from yesterday. This is a recurring
I'm sure if I
thing.
search IKF in my phone right now, it's just gonna be a bunch of slander.
Oh, I just
from
saw
you.
it. IKF is AIDS, dude. Something else that I'm not gonna repeat on the air. It's every single day, and it's not safe for being in front of a child. So
Literally, I just searched IKF and there is just I just keep scrolling. It's just our podcast and Chandler saying shit about it.
yeah, I don't
Oh
think
my
one of
God.
us have texted about IKF. I think it's just Chandler.
Motion to
You
put
have.
IKF on the sun. IKF going to break the MLB record for most ground outs to a short. That's a typo. Too short this year. Will IKF ever get hit again? Yes. Plus 1,100. No. Minus 200,000. IKF is also dog shit. I hate IKF. I can keep going, but this
This is a classic moment of keeping the receipts, and I'm very happy that you can search because Chandler can't even say right now that he doesn't hate IKF.
No, I mean, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying. Like, that's neither here nor there. But it is crazy how he's not getting errors on some of these. Like, this is actually something that's been talked about for like weeks.
IKF, one of her last 16 with 8 Ks. Not bad.
I mean, I don't even want to say it's an irrational hatred because you are pulling some numbers up. Maybe you're cherry picking some things to fit your narrative, but just because like you look at his numbers overall, and he's.
I
not
mean, those
playing-
were from the
not
beginning
playing
of the year when he
horribly.
was hitting like 208. I still don't I've never not talking great about him still, but like, you know.
Oh, you don't say.
But those are from earlier in the year.
I think I don't like IKF because it looks like a sad pug.
I remember that one.
Direct quote. Put that on a quote graphic and post it on our Instagram.
There's a lot, but yes, I think you're out to get IKF. I think he deserves some of it, but not all of it.
I'm not
was
out to get
funny.
it. But that actually is like a thing though. I'm dead serious. It's wild. I don't know. Like, I mean, look at the ball that was in Sevy's one hitter that was like just a routine line drive and he ducked under it. It's wild. He's not getting errors. I don't get it. I've never seen anything like it.
Something to keep an eye on,
Something to keep an eye on.
and we
Yeah.
will continue to update you guys with the. Well, maybe that could be a recurring segment, just like every other week or something. So we'll let it pile up a little bit. The chatter. Damon will every other week search IKF in our group chat, and we'll just. And it's all going to be Chandler's responses. Were any of those somebody else talking about IKF, or was it just Chandler?
I don't know exactly, but it was mostly Chandler.
All right. Conversation about somebody else other than IKF is. I know we talked about this a ton, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to bring it back up. Is Chapman came out and there was somebody asked Chapman that about the Clay Holmes situation, and apparently he's open to a new role upon returning from his injury. I personally think this is smoke. This is fire, not smoke, meaning it's a real thing. Because I think the reason why that Boone and everybody else was saying that we aren't gonna name Clay Holmes the closer is because, like we were saying, almost like you don't want to hurt his feelings type thing. He's been the closer. It's a whole big ordeal to make somebody not the closer. The fact that he addressed the elephant in the room, because it is an elephant in the room, is a big thing to me. He said, and I quote, I'm past the point in my career which I would for a role for the closer role. Um, I I don't know. What do you guys make of this?
I
Because we've
mean, it
talked
doesn't
about
really change for me. What is he gonna say? Like, I mean, he's not just gonna throw a hissy fit on an interview. I mean, we'll see whenever he actually gets back. I think that money's gonna play a factor in it, just like it does with pretty much all big decisions. And he's still gonna close games whether we like it or not. So I don't know. We'll see when he comes back, but I just don't. Again, what do you say in that situation? Like, you can't just be like, yeah, it's fucking stupid. I should be the closer. Like, you clearly should not. This guy. Also, shout out. I saw Clay Holmes yesterday, but
shout out neighbor.
yep,
Did you tell him he should be the closer?
yes,
Should have gotten some insight.
I
Should've been like,
sprinted out of the store when I saw him walk by. I was like, sir, did you hear what Chapman said? You should be the closer."
What do you make of this?
But
Here, look at
Yeah.
this.
I had to use some judgment there. Apparently, it's not cool if a grown man just sprints down the street to catch up to another grown man to say hello. But
No, he probably would have pepper sprayed you. That would have been cool. You could tell your kids that you got
I don't
Clay
think
Holmes.
Clay Holmes
you got
pepper spray anybody.
you got
He's-
imagine you did though, and you can tell your kids like, or you can go up to your grandkids like, hey, kids, gather around here. I'll tell you a story.
yeah.
So one time I was walking down the streets of New York City. Yeah, the big one, the Big Apple. And I was walking, assuming at this time you're not going to be in the city anymore. You're going to be somewhere in the South. And
Yeah.
you're going to be like, gather around, kids, gather around, children. So there was this one time that Grandpa, or I don't know what you want to be called as the
Pop-pop.
grandpa, but I know
Peep-pop.
Damon's
Pop.
PP.
My pee pee boop boop.
The PP was walking down the street and he got pepper sprayed by the Yankees closer who had an ERA plus at the time of 12.31. And
honestly,
he-
we all deserve to be pepper sprayed by Clay Holmes for the initial reaction.
Yeah.
I would welcome
You should have shown him the video of us reacting to him being on the Yankees.
Hey, Clay, I have something to show you.
Who the fuck
I'd
is
like,
this
to,
guy?
I like to think that he
Holmes?
saw
How the
it, and
fuck do you even spell Holmes?
I think that's my favorite part of that. Damon is trying to spell Holmes.
Everybody's like outraged at David.
Everyone's looking at like sabermetrics and and stats and this and that, and Damon's like, "How do you spell Holmes?" Homes.
In hindsight, though, it was really funny because Relly, you were like, "I don't care if this guy's the best ever. We still lost this trade," and then he actually came out
the
of
best
nowhere
ever.
to be the best ever.
And now I see graphics like Bronx Pinstripes just posted a graphic of the best ERA pluses in a single season, and he's doing better than Goose Gossage and Mo Rivera in their best years, not in any specific years. So yeah, actually, while we're on the topic, I know that we talked about Clay Holmes a ton, but I was talking to Damon about this. Do you think that there's what do you think the chance is that this is the beginning of Clay Holmes being a closer, the Yankees closer for years to come? He's 29, so he can totally be that. Basically, it's a two-part question. Do you think he has an opportunity to become the closer for years to come? And do you think that how cool would it be if this is like the numbers where you compare to Goose Gossage and Mo Rivera? Obviously, they're staggering. He's in that realm. So, what do you think the odds are that he becomes the next? Like, if we look back 10 years from now, Chandler's talking to his grandkids, and he's like, "Hey, listen,
I have grandkids in 10 years.
not grandkids, but you're telling a story about Clay Holmes. Or then, what are the odds that Clay Holmes is in that category of great Yankee closers when all's said and done?
I think
low.
I think we'll find out next year because this is Chapman's walk year, and then it's going to be, to me, a competition between Loaizaga and him, and we'll see. We'll see who wins it. And obviously, if you're going off Loaizaga's 10 games this year, it's easy to be like, well, that's a stupid fucking argument. But we were having this conversation last year. Like, what are the odds that Loaizaga is going to be the next great closer? So, I don't know. I would wait till the end of the year. I don't think you can accurately guess right now just because we don't even, like I said, Loaizaga hasn't thrown in months. And I think it's truly going to be, you want to talk about splitting time. I think next year those two are going to be getting the bulk of the high leverage things. I think we can all agree that Chapman's as good as gone. So I think it's going to be between those two, and we're going to see. And I think whichever one does pan out, that then they have a chance to make a run at being the closer for, an extended period of time. They both have the velocity. They both have the stuff for it. So like I said, only time can tell.
I could see a David Robertson situation. Just like very effective for a few years, absolutely beloved. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I could see this conversation being an off season. Like, obviously, this is assuming Loizaga comes back and he's his regular dominant self. This is totally going to be a conversation. If Chapman walks, then we're going to be like, okay, who's the closer next year? Is it Clay Holmes? Is it Loizaga? And I think, obviously, you can't make a decision on that now, but I'm just saying I could see it being a conversation. And I was bringing this up just to say that, like, me and Dave were talking about it, and I thought how cool would it be if this was like the tip of the iceberg with the Clay Holmes being dominant thing, and this is the beginning of a really dominant stretch of Clay Holmes being, like, the Yankees obviously have been blessed with Mariano Rivera being a dominant closer for years. It'd be really cool if he was the next great thing and he just figured it out.
I'm glad you said off season, because most of the reason that Mo was as good as he was is because he was so dominant in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen Clay Holmes pitch in the playoffs, but by the offseason, most likely we will. So
yeah, and obviously, I don't even think after 1 year we're not going to have that conversation of like, oh, is he one in that realm of best closers ever? I'm just saying, like, I think he's young enough that he can continue to do this if he puts one full season together of being the Yankee closer and he wins the job. It'd be cool to see him if he can continue this. I don't know. I guess there's nothing from me on it now, but I just wanted to put it out there into the world.
It's a definite possibility, as they say. Judge's arbitration today.
I don't know how you can go into that with a straight face as the Yankees and argue that he's not worth $21 million. And I know that it's not based on this year, but even last year, he finished, third in MVP voting? Like, I had somebody commented that, like, this is based on last year. Like, he still had a fucking borderline MVP year. So, like, I don't.
But it's not based on last year. I know it is.
Yes, it is.
It is, but
I know it. But if you're telling me that this season and him walking off and doing all these things when they sit in that room today has nothing to do with the number he's going to get today, you're wrong. You're just wrong. And like and if it does, that's stupid. Because he should be getting, and I'm not even get that super worked up about this. My blood's starting to boil though, because everybody knows how we all should feel in this situation. If they're off by $4 million, that's ridiculous. Just it's pennies compared to what you're about to potentially pay him for a long-term contract. Just chalk it up to the future contract and like take the dollars out of that. Whatever you want to do. Don't go to arbitration, because that's potentially going to bite us in the ass when the offseason comes and he's talking to a bunch of teams. Like, why have that blemish if he's already saying he's going to talk to other teams? It's almost a sense of arrogance. Like, you think that this won't have a blemish on his potential return in the offseason. Like,
I thought there was going to be
good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was going to be some kind of like news or something. They pushed it back from Tuesday to Friday. I was like, well, maybe something cool is going to happen, but I don't know. Randy Levine's just putting on his war paint, ready to just be like, well, you got injured like 4 years ago, so fuck you. Like,
I thought that meant extension. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to jinx it, but back in my head, I was like, why else?
Well, I was
would
talking
they
about. I
delay
really
it?
thought there was going to be an extension.
I think we would know by now.
We would.
Yeah, I
don't know what time the hearing is, but I don't expect it to be pretty.
I mean, Judge just came out with the comments and he was saying, like, I get it, it's a business, it sucks, but I get it, it's a business. I mean, like, the year he's having right now, I know. Like, can you agree, Chandler, that, like, yeah, it's based on last year's stats, but when push comes to shove here, you don't bring that guy to, because of what he's doing this season, you don't bring him to arbitration because of.
I don't think they should have brought him to arbitration in the first place. I'm just saying, like,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know, because I'm just saying, like, once you get there, it's not like it's just Randy Levine versus Aaron Judge. It's a third party, arbiter. So I don't know what the process, arbiter, whatever. That's what I said. But I don't know what it looks like in the courtroom or wherever they do this. I never will know that. I'm a pretty insignificant person in the world. But
Hey, now.
I just I don't think a third party person. Their whole point of having that third party is to make sure that there's no bias one way or the other. So, but even then, like I said, even if there's nothing taken out of this year and this person's never watched a baseball game in the history of the sport, not even a little league game, you can argue looking at last year's numbers, he's worth more than 21 million. So like I just don't think there's any way he can lose this case. I think it's a slam dunk win, and I think that the more the Yankees fight it, the worse it's going to look. And I'm actually very nervous to see, because this has the potential to put a huge black mark over a special season. If this gets ugly, if this goes the way the Betanzas one did, this is something that we could look back on in September or October and be like, everything was going right. Why'd you have to fuck it up over $4 million?
Yeah.
And for context, we're recording this Friday morning. It's like 7:30 right now. It's happening today. What time is it happening today?
I don't
No
know.
idea. I don't know if
It's
that's
happening
I don't know if
today.
that's disclosed or not.
It's happening today, so hopefully we have good news. I mean, whatever number he was asking for, what was it?
21.
21.
21. If you are not giving, that's what the thing too. Like, they're not going to give him that number, otherwise they wouldn't have gone to arbitration. So
I
they're
mean,
going to they're going to give him a lower number. They're going to meet in the
if
middle.
you want
or
me to
something
be
like
the
that.
arbitrator, it's going to be 19. Meet in the middle.
It's not going to
Yeah,
be
do you
19.
need-
He's
do you
going to
need
get. He's
an
going to
arbiter
get.
I know.
21.
I'm saying I agree, Murph. It's like, do you need a person to really like?
I don't know how the
I
Yankees
don't know.
can't just go in and be like, "Hey, want to split the difference?" 19.
I mean, this could have been an email.
Avoid it. Yeah,
This is the
literally,
definition of this could have been
email.
an email. Like hey man, I don't know. This is just
Like,
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous that like there's this huge deal about. I know, like we're saying, $4 million, like it's a lot of money, but
It's
in the
not,
grand
though,
in the
yeah.
grand scheme of things, and like in this situation, it really is not a lot.
And if here's the thing too, and you're going to arbitration over 4 million. We already mentioned that's ridiculous, but you're also going into arbitration knowing that you're gonna probably split the difference. So you're really going to arbitration over 2 million. So
Yeah,
at that point, what are we really talking about? That's
they'll make that in pretzel revenue tomorrow.
yeah. We'll let Damon crunch the numbers and tell you guys exactly what that 2 million is in terms of it's like it's the Cracker Jack sales for the first 30 games
Yeah.
of the season. Like that's
Ounces of beer poured ratio.
and it
I
just
should-
it,
I should keep a
bothers
catalog
me
of
all
all
the
this.
time. Yeah, it bothers me all the time because I'm going to go ahead and look back at the revenue generated for the Yankees compared to their payroll year over year, and it's just they have the money. Like you're really, it's not we're not the Athletics here. Like why are you? That's why we say 2 million is 2 million. It's a lot of money, but it's really nothing. It's so insignificant. It's the difference of you. It's you going up to Chipotle right now, and you'd be like, "There's like guac is extra." Like, but is it though? Like, let's talk about this. And then you're just like, "How about I give you $1 instead of the 3?" And that's like, that's just not. Just pay the extra money. It's not that big a deal. And honestly, I think it's a less of a noticeable difference than us paying guac extra. I think it's less of a bearing on their pockets.
That's
No, I
debatable.
agree.
But yeah, probably that's sad.
No, I'm
but
saying
yes.
I think it's less. I think it's less
I mean,
of
the dude's a
you
multi-billionaire.
think about it less. No, I'm not saying Judge. I'm saying the Yankees.
I
2
know.
$2
I'm
million to
saying.
the Yankees is
I know
less
Judge
to
isn't a
them.
billionaire. I don't what.
Oh, Damon just didn't. I don't know. He didn't understand. So I was.
I
reiterating
I
for
understood.
him
I
and the
understood it
fans.
completely. Don't worry.
Okay, good. I gotta say, maybe it's being outside for this one, but I think my metaphors today have been on point.
I think my math has been subpar, but the thought has been
No,
there.
I think it's been exactly on par with what you're usually
Nice. Not really a
doing.
compliment, but sure.
It wasn't really a compliment. And I guess this is just a good opportunity to bring in more Judge stats because this is him and Clay Holmes are becoming recurring segments on this show of just like talking about the history of them. And Judge had another multi-homer game the other night, and now when you look at the most multi-homer games in New York Yankees history, there's an asterisk next to this one. Babe Ruth's at the top because he wasn't good. He wasn't good at baseball. He played against electricians. Murph. He had 68 asterisks, obviously. Put that in the same camp as the Astros World Series. Mickey Mantle, I'll count that one. 46.
I'll count that one.
Lou Gehrig, 43. That remains to be seen. Jury's still out on that one. Joe
I mean,
Played at the
Him
DiMaggio.
and
exact same
Ruth are on
time.
the same
They're on the same
team.
team.
They were literally on the same team.
Look, I've never told anybody that I was a historian, so it's whatever. Joe DiMaggio, jury's out. Alex Rodriguez took steroids. That's an asterisk. Aaron Judge, he's next on
6'7".
the list. So,
Doesn't
so
count.
when you think about it, he's like number 2 on this list. But he has 22 so far with the Yankees. It's crazy if he does get an extension. It's wild to see like where he could end up on that list. Like looking back, I
Yeah.
talked about like best Yankees of all time and like where Clay Holmes could fit in that category of closers, and it'd be cool if he actually is in that camp when it's all said and done. Aaron Judge, if he gets extended, when it's all said and done, I think this is more of a slam dunk. I think he is going to be one of the leaders in every category for the Yankees all time if he gets a long extension.
I don't know. A lot of these guys been on the Yankees for like 20 years, and they just rack up stats. It's kind of hard to do that when, I mean, like, he's not going to have the games played to be able to break a lot of these records. I mean, single season records, sure. I think he'll definitely have opportunities to do that, but Yankee records in terms of career long things, I don't think he'll really hit a lot of those because he doesn't not gonna play as many games as a lot
But
of
the
these
fact
guys.
that he's even in these conversations is a testament to how good how like
Oh, of course, yeah.
ridiculous of a rate that he's doing these things at. Like he's at 22 multi-homer games in his career with the Yankees. It's not that many seasons, obviously, and he's like when you look, I'm giving you the numbers now. Joe DiMaggio had 35. He obviously did that over his entire career, and Judge had 22 over how many years with the Yankees. It's crazy that he's already in this category, and it's just a testament to how unbelievable it is, and it's just another reason why he shouldn't be going to arbitration over, like I mentioned now, $2 million. So
Yeah.
just your daily Judge.
All the New York papers are some sort of headline like thanks Aaron's plural, but like on the and but all of them are prefaced with on the eve of Aaron Judge's arbitration. The Yanks can't afford to angry Aaron on the eve of arbitration. On the eve of arbitration, like Judge caps wild ninth inning comeback money player. Just fucking pay. Jesus Christ, man, this is
I really hope it is good news.
Aside from arbitration, just like back to the real baseball stuff and like the game itself, that was a 3-0 count, right? That he hit that walk off on.
Yeah,
3-1, I thought.
3-1, whatever.
3-1. Okay,
Maybe not. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not that
You
confident.
still give him the green light on 3-1, Damon?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was going back to the fact that say I love the fact that he swung on a breaking ball by his knees on a 3-0 count. If it was 3-0, but anyway, I love
Looking
that.
back at that pimp job, I feel like it was very similar. It was almost exact, Murph, but I
Talking
almost
about
feel like
Hicks?
I almost feel like this one was just like there was the same, but he had just like so much relief at the end of it. Like if you look at his face, I feel like it was less confidence. It was more release, like of like just.
And that's kind of what I meant when I said earlier, like, is he going to kind of figure it out now? Like, is that the monkey off his back that he needed because it was in a big
It
spot?
could be. That could
Like,
be.
is it like a form of the yips that he had that he just needed to get rid of? Like, I don't know.
I could see it. I could totally see it. I mean,
Because
that's
he
a
has
pretty big
also-
moment.
anything.
I could also see him riding this high for the next 2 weeks and just doing dog shit nothing too.
And then people
Like
are
just
still
swinging
gonna.
with too much like blind confidence. You mean? And
Yeah,
then
now he's like, I'm the
swinging
fucking
at
man.
everything.
I can
Every-
do nothing for the next 2 weeks and no one's gonna say shit. It's like the Gary Sanchez effect, really.
Dude,
Well,
he's
here's
going
one
to
thing too, Chandler.
walk
Hold on.
to the
This-
next
this
ball
is
in
a-
the outfield.
Yeah, no, he's gonna act like he's got
It's the
Everything.
Gary Sanchez paradox. That's what I'm gonna call it.
exactly.
like
But
that,
Chandler, I think this is gonna be something that bothers you for a while because we were streaming the game on Monday, I think it was, and Hicks hit that triple. And I've never seen Chandler so upset before. Chandler is a man who usually keeps it together, and he's not upset unless it comes to IKF or Hicks for that matter, honestly. So it was par for the course. But he was so mad. He just immediately screamed as soon as the ball was off the bat. He's like, dude, run, like go, and
It's
like
just
everybody
like
else.
you don't do that unless it's fucking 30 rows deep. Like that should never happen. That should never happen, especially in a
Especially
game
at
like
Yankee
that.
Stadium.
That was at Tampa. But
Oh,
like,
it was in Tampa.
that should never ever happen. Like you are losing that baseball game. Fucking run. Run. Like it's your job. You're getting paid $10 million to run fucking what, 270 feet?
I mean, that's very it's a simplification of what he gets paid to do.
I mean,
But I bring it up just to say that I think after that walk off, I think we could see some more of that, like some more pimping things that don't deserve to be pimped because of the confidence coming off that walk off. Or not
dude's
walk
gonna
off, but the
launch
big
his
home run.
bat into the fucking outfield after a walk.
Yeah, he always does that, but I do think he's gonna be a little more cocky now. Which I mean, I hope he does, because I hope he continues to hit the ball, and if he's hitting the ball, he can pimp all the fucking hits he wants.
Just gonna start pimping his fucking pop outs this second.
I mean, he does that right now.
I don't know, man. I hope he does better. I just like if he can produce, obviously not at this level because he's not going to hit a home run every bat, and he's not going to hit 300. But if he can produce somewhat, it's somewhere in the middle of what he's done for June and how he started, then that's fine. I mean that is sufficient.
Dude, in the beginning of the season, we said that. We were like, we don't need him to be anything crazy. We just need him to do what he's built to do, which is get on base, get a couple hits, and be a plus fielder, and steal some bases. And he's done one of those things so far. So
how many outs
How
many outs does he put out minus his errors?
I had to look at the stats, but I think the ratio's there.
He might break. I will say this about him: he might break the record for the most caught stealings in a season. Dude is trying so hard for that 30-30 thing. He gets thrown out like once a game. Every
Isn't
time
it
he
funny
gets
that didn't he pinch run and then he immediately stole.
He got picked off, I think.
This dude thinks he's actually Ricky Anderson. It's actually hilarious how many times he tries. Which, when you look back to the numbers, that crazy stat that always floats around with Ricky Anderson is that's not that crazy when you go as much as he did. He's been caught stealing like the most in MLB history. Isn't that true?
I mean, checks out. I mean,
he goes a lot.
He
But
steals a lot of
Hicks is gonna
bases.
be that. Hicks is gonna be the new guy to be caught stealing the most. But it's just because he gets his ratio of caught stealings to.
Dude, he messed himself up by telling the entire world he wanted to steal 30 bases. Now everyone is just
He did
looking out
mess
for
up.
that. If he just
I was
kept to
gonna pick him
himself, didn't say shit, he would have had a better chance. But now everyone's like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking run every time just because he wants to prove to himself he can steal 30 bases.
And honestly, too, if he did that, we wouldn't be making fun of him. We'd
I
be like,
know.
all right. We'd be like, all right, great, Hicks. I'm glad you're trying. I'm glad you came in and pinch ran and tried to. You leaned a little bit too much. You were eager. Even if you got picked off, I'd be like, all right, man. I like the intensity. I like that you're trying to go for it. But because he set that line for himself, now we're just like, all right, man. And like, how many homers do you have right now? And we're like, we're pretty deep into the season here. What's the current count at for homers and
4?
stolen bases?
3. That was his third last night.
Third what? Homer?
Home run.
He's got 3
Stolen
home
bases,
runs
I
and
think he
7.
has 5. Oh, he has 7.
7 stolen bases. So what is the? I know obviously he's not getting it, but what would he need to be at to be going for 30-30 at this point in the season?
So we're like 45% of the way through the season. So
4.5. No. So he would need.
He would need like
almost
14.
15 of
12.
each.
Yeah.
He does not
Safe
have.
to say he's not there.
I think the fact that, well, I think going back to what I was saying before, like in the beginning of the season, we said we don't need him to be anything crazy. We need him to just get on base, be a plus fielder, and do all these other things. And we were so content with him being just average. And then he comes out and saying he's getting this 30-30 season. And then we're just like, oh, okay, fuck this guy. Like, there's no way he's going to do that. And then he comes out and just is dog shit, which is the complete opposite of what we were saying and what he was projecting himself to be. So I think he did this to himself.
I think he's
like,
cursed
people-
ever since he got that ace on that par 4 a couple years ago.
Yeah, that checks
agree.
out.
Like, he hasn't done anything since then. I went golfing the other day, and one of my friends drove the green on a par 4. Not a big deal. But I was like, yeah, don't get an ace on a par 4 because you'll be cursed like Aaron Hicks.
If my curse was making $10 million to be dog shit at everything I do, I'd be pretty okay with that.
It's a very good point.
It's true.
I hope he does better. That's all I'll say.
We talked just really poorly of him after he was the hero yesterday. But
Yeah, true.
Underrated moment of the game, I will say. But yes, no, Hicks did a good job. Yeah, he snaps to him. So congrats on the hit and the home run. So thanks. But underrated moment, Anthony Rizzo, 16 pitch at bat that knocked the starter out of the game effectively. That right there was the turning point in my eyes. And I don't know. It just goes back to what we were talking about in the X Factor draft, that Anthony Rizzo's impact on this team. I mean, that's a walk. At the end of the day, if you look at the stat sheet, it's a walk, and big fucking whoop, he walked as a major league player. But that's the stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet. That knocked the starter out of the game, who had retired 15 in a row at that point, something like that.
Ever since the Stanton home run.
Since the Stanton home run, he was lights out. He was striking out every other batter, it felt like. And then, here comes Rizzo, put him to that 100 pitch point, knocked him out, got to the bullpen. And, obviously we saw what happened from there. So kudos to you, Mr. Tony Rizzo, and thank you for your service.
I've never heard the stadium so loud after a walk, especially on TV. You could hear people were getting riled up for that.
I'm sure the Bronx will be buzzing tonight too.
Yeah. Also, when did you guys hear them booing Altuve after they hit him?
Good.
As they should.
Yeah.
Hope they hit him again tonight.
I hate him so much.
Who throws the hardest now on the team?
Probably Holmes, honestly.
Oh.
Well, Sevy hit 103. I know Chandler doesn't believe
Garrett
it.
Cole.
Oh, true.
He did not hit 103. That was a faulty radar gun that day.
Do we have anybody that throws hard that we don't really care if they're not, we don't need them to be in there. So
Miguel Castro.
Bring up Medina.
I'm thinking Miguel Castro is exactly that guy. Or call up Medina and just have him be the designated, throw at him, get thrown out of the game, and then put Clay Holmes in.
Castro has enough movement too where he won't get thrown out. He could start a pitch middle of the plate and it'll run in and fucking hit him in the hands.
He can make that argument that he just sucks. He just doesn't have any command or control. Murph.
He was good last night.
No, he's not.
If he can ever,
he did look good.
If he can ever consistently locate, he's gonna be just fucking dominant. Hope he does, because that would be a massive, massive weapon to have. If you could get to a playoff series with Loaizaga back and Chapman back, and hopefully Chapman's back to form, not dominant Chapman, but at least good. And you can go to a guy that throws 100 with 20 inches of run, 100, 20 inches of run, 120 inches of run, just roll that out for 4 straight innings. It's pretty scary.
Sevy versus Verlander tonight.
That's pretty fun.
That's a fun game.
Before we sign off here, because we're almost done here, I wanted to ask you guys a few things. Are you worried at all about some of the starters recently? Like Tyone obviously didn't have an awesome start this time out. When you look at look at Monty's last start, he gave up 4. Obviously this 4 is not a big deal, but it only brought his season ERA up to a 2.98. But is there any worry in your guys' eyes of
we knew it wasn't
as we start to play bigger and badder teams offensively?
No, not at all. It's just not. I mean, you're not going to go through a whole season of starters throwing to a sub 2 or 2.2 ERA. That's just not going to happen. So you know what? It's not like we have 5 Garrett Coles that are doing this. These guys that are still just far exceeding expectations are the ones that are having a minor miscue here or there. That's fine. These are guys we all talked about before the season as being mid-rotation arms, and they're already exceeding that expectation, and this is what we expected a full season of. And if this is their outlier, then I think that's fantastic. So
yeah, agreed. Not worried.
All right, that's it for me. Anybody else?
No, let's go beat the Astros. We're playing them obviously this series, and then we're playing them
2 between.
We're playing the A's and then the Astros again. I don't know
why we only play one game. No, it's only one game, right?
Why are we doing that?
No, but why are we doing that the whole season? It's I feel like we're playing all these teams in bunches. I don't know what she's
No,
doing
you're
in
right.
there.
The Orioles early. What do you think she's doing?
No,
there?
no. Wait, this isn't. This isn't even a. It's one game, just June 30th. It's not even a series.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
What?
Cole and Verlander. It's at Houston. We go, unless ESPN is broken. It's 4 games this weekend
Which it
against
very
Houston.
well could be.
Very well could be. 3 games against Oakland, 1 game against Houston, and then weekend series at Cleveland. The only reason I'm thinking it's not broken is because the dates actually match up without an off day between. And it's
That's
going to be
weird.
Cole versus Verlander in that
That's
one game.
fishy. That's gonna be a juice ball game.
It's not even on a
Make more
national
juices if
broadcast,
it's-
which is also strange. But
Speaking of single games, I really wish they'd had the Field of Dreams game and it was us again.
Yeah, we were just in it every year.
When
That'd be
is
cool.
that? When is that?
August.
Mid-July, August. somewhere.
Oh, is it July?
That's Cubs, Cardinals.
I think so.
Yeah.
Cardinals.
No, I think it's the
that'll be
Reds. I
fun.
think it's Cubs Reds.
That would no, it's not. I thought it
No,
was
I think the
Cardinals.
Cardinals.
No one's
are
gonna
playing.
watch that.
Let me look because I'm
If the
pretty
MLB knew
sure.
a thing or two, which they don't. So I would side with it
There you
being the Reds, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know shit about fuck.
Amen.
Amen. All right.
The Chicago
guys,
Cubs versus the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, nobody's watching that.
They got to change that, or else they got to like give them metal bats.
That would be fun.
That'd be funny if they juiced the balls last time. If they juiced the balls this time, gave them metal bats, moved the walls in, like planted more corn fields early, put them on a little league field because that's what's gonna get people in the park. There's not anybody in Iowa anyway, so
Might
All
be
right.
the
Everyone's
only,
flying out. to
only
Iowa.
sellout that the Reds have this year is the one with like 3,000 tickets available.
People allowed. All right. Well, that'll do it for me. If you could give us a 5-star review, that'd be sick. If not, I don't give a shit.
Guess I'm saying
stopped-
that.
I stopped caring. Subscribe to the YouTube. Follow us on social media. Download the Chalkboard app. It's in the bio. It's in the description. Buy tickets on TickPick for $10 off. Peace.